Hello friends, welcome to the channel. If today is the first time visiting with us, we want to extend you a very warm welcome. If you've been here before but you have not subscribed, we want to invite you to subscribe, as we have over 300 videos that we think you will find fun and educational to watch and also useful. If today is your birthday, we want to extend you a very happy birthday. If you remember last week, we saw you the beginning of a big project, and this week we continue showing you how we're going to build that desk. If you want to watch again that video from last week, I'm going to put a link up here for you, and I do recommend you watch it first so the second video will make sense. While we were hoping that we'll be able to finish this project today, we really couldn't because it took longer than we thought, so we're going to have a part 3. But so far, we really enjoy how it looks. What do you think, Elpida?
Yeah, I think it's coming together very well.
So stick around. We have a lot of fun. We have some unexpected twists and events. I don't know how to call, So, but this is reality. We want you to show you that even with a very small shop, really not a shop at all because we're using our garage, you can build some interesting and even large projects. This is the largest project we have ever undertaken, if I'm not mistaken. And I will not lie, it did provide us with a couple of challenges, but also it provided us with some rewards, right? We, for the first time, used our track saw, and I had a blast with it. Elpida and Mrs. Wizard were just looking at me doing it and they were helping, but I really enjoyed that saw and made the cut really good. Alright folks, so stick around and see how we're going to continue with the beginning of the build of this table.
Okay, we're getting ready to do the first cut on the plywood. This is going to be the short side to bring it down to the just under 6 foot dimension.
And our first cut with the plant saw and the hardest cut of this whole project. It's clear the table, right? You should. No, it's not clear. So when we do more, I guess we didn't calculate the distance of the blade to the... And plug the thing in because it doesn't need to stay. Okay, our first cut with the track saw and see how we did. Here is our square. Perfect cut. Okay? There are 2 sides. Both sides I cut. Okay?
Trick, and we need to be easy on each other. That's all. That's what she's saying.
I thought we were putting 4, we're putting 5.
It's 5.
And a half.
Yeah, but we don't want it to be right to the edge. So
No, we want the needs, so we'll be having half an inch.
So 26 and a half.
Okay.
Okay? Right?
Yeah.
somewhere down the middle. So 6.5. You're gonna want it down here, right? Down here at the end. There.
Okay, we'll be able to see, right?
You don't want it at the end.
So right now we're measuring the depth of the table, which we're measuring it at 1 inch less than the actual width of the desk will be. So our measurement is at 26.5. And as you saw earlier, the 5 boards placed across were 27.5. So those are our measurements so far. Okay, so to help support this cut, because we have a table and then we've also got this outfeed here, we've used a couple of 2x4s to provide some strength and support to the board to help support it and keep it straight as we make this cut.
All right, friends, and we did make our most difficult cut, and as you can see, this is the cut piece. It is a very straight, nice edge, even though we had to reposition the track because our track is shorter than this length. I must say this is still the best cut we have done so far, don't you think? On long pieces of wood. So now this is the piece we're going to keep, right? Yes. So we're going to double check the dimensions and we're going to be right back with you. Okay, and we finished the cutting of what I think is the hardest cut we had to do, and that came out very well. We actually measured it. We didn't take it to camera, did we?
That cut we didn't do on
Not the cut, the measuring.
Yeah, we did the measuring on camera.
Okay, I'm not sure we did, but anyway. But we measured it after we cut it, and it's exactly in the dimensions that we wanted. And now is the tedious and probably the longest process, which is prepping all the boards to make the surface. And what we're going to do, we're going to show you one board. So first we're going to take a pencil and we're going to make a squiggly line through both faces of the board. The squiggly line, the technical term. And we're going to pass it through the joiner first. And if this line disappears, we know that this is a perfectly joined side. If it doesn't disappear, we're going to pass it through the joiner again until we can see the line no longer. When we cannot see the line, we're going to move that to the planer and we're going to put the jointed side down. And again on the planer, we're going to have another line. And when this line goes away, then we know that both sides are exactly the same distance and the thickness is correct. So we're going to get set up and we're going to start. Do you see any of the lines? Well, this is because we have business cleaning. So this, we don't see, as you can see, we don't see any of the line, which means that we have a perfect surface here, and that can go into the planer, the thickness planer. But we're going to do this for all the pieces we have. We're not going to record that, of course, for every piece. But we're going to do first, we're going to join all the pieces, and then we're going to plane all the pieces, and then we're going to do the final cutting, right? Okay, so we'll be with you once the pieces are going to be touching each other and we're going to make a simple surface. We're going to also join only the side. in case you didn't hear me when I was talking, the reason I did this multiple times was because I could hear that in the middle of the board, the cutters were not touching the board, which were telling me that we have a bow here, and I wanted to take that bow out. On the first side, that was not the case. I could hear the knives throughout the board, and that told me we didn't have a bow here. Right? Does it make sense? All right. So now we're going to do the rest of the boards, and we're going to come back. But here's the mic.
They can hear you. That's all right. So this one has been run through the joiner one time, but as you can see, some of the marks didn't come off, so we are going to run that through again to make sure that it's completely
how
flush.
it looks when we start.
And when we start, it's like this. So this board,
that signifies a low point.
right?
So we're going to run it again, and hopefully the second time it will take these lines away.
Right. Okay, so as we were planing, we ended up getting a bunch of chips coming out of the planer itself. We opened up the dust collection system, meaning the shop vac, and it was completely full and overflowing. And now we're still seeing chips coming out of the planer, the joiner. So we are removing this section. And wow, what do you know? We're completely backed up there. But this was just 4 bolts to undo, 2 with a Phillips, and the other one
I think you should
hex
use the
type.
vacuum.
I will.
I think she wants to just get the bulk of it out.
There are blades in there.
She's just getting the bulk of it out. Whew. That's a lot.
And we're a little past the halfway point of joining board.
So these have been joined. These have yet to be joined. As you can see, the edges are looking the flats
And
are
the
looking
lines
good.
is gone.
The lines are gone, and the edges look really, really nice. So as you're working with your tools, if you're noticing stuff spitting back at you that wasn't before, definitely take a look and see where your output is, if anything's coming out. See if your dust collector is full. This
That's
is
a
good.
technical term.
And this is
spitting out.
and this is going to also help preserve your tools, because they're not going to get bound up, and they're going to be able to breathe and do what they need to do.
And we tell you that because we want to show you the reality of everything, right? We didn't have to show you that. I frankly didn't think we were generating that much to bog it down, but clearly I was
But
wrong.
it does. It generates a lot of dust, and as you can see, this is from us emptying the vacuum, and then that's from it spitting out front there. So we'll finish up.
That took a little time, but we are done with having joined it all our boards, and now we're going to move on the next step, which is the thickness planner. As you saw, we did have to stop a little bit to clean our machine, and this was a learning experience for us. In all honesty, this is the most we have put this joiner on, right? Through, yeah. And it did bog down. It is a small machine. It is not a professional grade machine, but it did great. And I think it was mostly our fault, not the machine's fault. We weren't focusing very close to what we're doing, and then when we clean it, there was a lot of compaction in our hoses and in our dust collection.
So the entry port that goes into this has a little hook on the inside where the hose is, and that actually got impacted and wasn't cleared up when we emptied the rest of it, and so it kind of caused us some additional backup.
But that is the reality, and that's what we show it to you. So if it happens to you, it doesn't mean you're not a good woodworker. It doesn't mean anything. Things happen. Machines need maintenance and needs cleaning and need to be taken care of. And we decided to take care of the machine rather than risk burning the motor. The machine was still cutting, but it was generating sawdust snow, which was very interesting, you know. So we are ready to take a short break, and we're going to continue with the project, and of course we're going to take you along when we continue. After a quick lunch, we're back in the shop, and we have our thickness planer ready, and we are going to start planing the boards. Now remember that we had marked both sides of the board with a squiggly line. And as you can see, this is the one that we joined it. So the one we need to plane now is this one. So as it goes through the planer, it's going to, hopefully through the first pass, get rid of all this, right? So I don't know if I need to be more up. All right, so we'll start. Ready? All right, folks, and as you can see now, our boards are both in both sides clean, which means that they are in the consistent thickness, and probably you can see that on the camera, right? And we're going to do the rest of them again. This is a boring process, so we're not going to film it. Nothing changes. We're going to be fitting it through the thickness planner, and that's it, right? So we're going to see. Right, we're back in the house, and we're going to do an initial dry fitting, so we have an idea of how we're going to cut our boards. So our boards and the cut substrate are here. Now keep in mind that the table will be about half an inch bigger than what you see the substrate being, right?
All the way around.
So let's do an initial dry fit, and we'll be right back. All right, folks, with the dry fit completed, we are out in the garage again, and we're going to make sure that the edges of each board are square. So stick around. We're going to show you one or two, but it is a fairly straightforward process. Well, we are done with all the cutting, the prepping the surfaces, and the dry fitting. And as you can see, this is the orientation we want. We really like how it looks. However, it is not cut to the absolute length yet. I think the width is pretty much it, right? But the length needs to be cut, and we're going to use my new favorite tool, which is the plank saw. I really enjoy using that. The substrate is under the planks right now, and the next step will be gluing it to the substrate, cutting it to size, and then of course attaching the legs underneath. We're going to do that next week, and of course show you all this, and we plan to finish this, right? We plan to stain it. So next week you're going to see those few things. I was hoping we'll finish it today, but in all honesty, it took us a little longer than we anticipated to prep the boards, because I don't know, maybe when you buy 55-cent boards, they're not as perfect as they should be. So it took us a longer time, and we don't want to rush it. We want this to look very good. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Actually, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you do, please smash that like button. I cannot speak. If you didn't, smash the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe, and comment. And join us next week to see how we finish this project, which we hope will be a wonderful table for our son. And also next week we'll show you placing it into his room, right? Is that the plan? So you will see both where it is in its place and it finished. So we are going to see you next week. From the Garage Wizard, Elpida, Mrs. Wizard, and the Urban Homesteading channel, we bid you a great week.